Okay, I'm gonna begin by saying that this video is not up for argument. I'm Diggin, and this is the vibe. Um, why I call it the vibe is because I read vibration, and I love music, and I love the arts of all sorts. Um, Piano and painting, well, like all instruments. But anyway, um, um, okay, so where do I begin here? This is about the fifth or sixth time I've tried to make this video, and I keep making it, and I don't know where it goes because this is all new to me, as I've mentioned before, and I'm a real newbie. The only things that aren't new is memories of what I've been given, what I've taken in. And so some things really stand out to me. And why they stand out is because there's a lot of stuff that is covered when seeking the truth. And I mean literally like covered up and have gone over it again, like raked it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, trying to squeeze every little bit of the truth and understanding out of what we've got to work with. And scripture really is a really cool book. It really is a matter of how you read it. You know, I always take scripture and I rip it into the here and the now, and I take reference with what that says and what's going on. So when I was perusing Revelation, the book of Revelation, I came across something that jumped out at me. I mean, literally jumped out at me. I was just sitting here chilling like I do most time. And I'm really into scripture, and like I said, I reference it to the here and the now, religiously, politically, every which way, upside down, inside out. And the reason being is because of all the different, um, um, I guess in the days of old I'd be called a prophet or enlightened. And I say that because all this knowledge isn't my own. It's been all given to me, and I've been shown all these things. So it's got to be for a reason. It's got to be for a purpose. Now, some of this stuff is pretty sensitive, and I go gulp, you know. So I'm going to probably make this one video whenever I manage to upload it, and then never bring it up again. And reason being is because, well, one, I feel protected, so I'm doing this in good faith, and the other is I'm not stupid either. And as I recollect, I'm going, well, okay, I'm just going to state the obvious. So stating the obvious, and this is going to throw you off because of how I began this video, is a real estate purchase that was made by the Kushners, a house they bought in Washington. And it's not so much strange that they bought a house in Washington, being that they work there and they don't have to commute anywhere near as much. It would save a lot of time, I mean, it'd be ridiculous to try to think to do it any other way. But who they chose as neighbors, which I thought was really interesting. Now, I heard it on YouTube. It was a breaking news of some sort, I believe. Don't quote me on breaking news, but it was news of some sort. And there was this blurb about the Kushners buying a house right beside the Obamas. That's right. The last president of the United States, Barack and Michelle Obama. And I thought, oh, isn't that interesting? Like, that's not, I would never have thought that that would have been the first purchase being. And with things the way they are, the way that they are, with all this stuff going on with Deep State and Q and everything else like this, and the Mr. Barack Obama is now traveling to places before President Trump, and you kind of go, huh? Now I thought about this. I thought, as this has come up, I thought, hey, wait a second, I remember seeing that. So how does this fit into this? You know, like, because we're talking connections, and I could see, I mean, I'm like everybody else. I go here, there, check it out, and this and that, and then I'll get flashes on, and I'll be like, hey, wait a minute here. And I thought, what is the connection there? And when I looked, I realized that maybe the other videos I wasn't supposed to upload, and I was supposed to remember something else like I did. And I thought to myself, you know, because the more I remember, I don't fear the transition. I mean, in fact, I'm really happy that Jesus said, hey, yeah, like, let me go down there. And he did. That's a whole other video. I thought, Mr. Trump is now president, and there's all this stuff that's going on, and this just coming out, would it be that the Kushners are now going to go, oops, we're going to have to sell our home? Or was it that type of news that there was just a blurb and it was said and nobody bring it up again kind of thing? I don't know. But when I looked, I can honestly say that no, the Kushners and the Obamas have their own separate relationship. It doesn't involve President Trump in any way, shape, or form. Even if Mr. Kushner's wife is the president's daughter, they both work at the White House. There is, that is completely separate. He sees this as his daughter's friend's relationship. She's an adult. She chooses who she wants to be friends with. It doesn't mean that, you know, Dad needs to be in the midst. You know, my kids don't like it when I go hang out with them. You know, so I thought, isn't that rather interesting? So, you know, when we look at that little tidbit, I thought, wow, that's really kind of interesting. So the two, the Obamas and the Kushners, I guess they get to share a grandeur, and Mrs. Kushner's father is the President of the United States and goes about his merry business. So work is work and pleasure is pleasure. And I thought, when you stop and you take a look at the information that is out there, you might say, if you do a little bit of digging, it's not that odd that the Kushners would buy a house right beside the Obamas, because I came across some literature on the web and or YouTube, and this literature that I read, it mentioned that they all each had a part in the creation of the RFID chip. And considering Mr. Kushner's intelligence and availability to technology, the brains all got together, and that would also be Bill Gates is involved. The Prince of England, Prince William, is involved. Obama wrote it into the healthcare system. So when you stop and you take a look at that, because that's a whole other going on, and there's one or two that forgive me, I did not mention that were also involved in the creation. I think it was Mr. Kushner's younger brother, and there is one more person, and Tesla. That would be the other person. Rather interesting. So they're all involved in technology and the creation of technology. Well, the RFID chip, and I'm pretty sure, I mean, it may over and beyond. I mean, I know I'm not a scientist. I know what my brain can think of. So when I look at that, you know, it's another source of humanism, right? So anyway, I thought that little bit of information pertaining to who's who as far as neighbors go, and how neighborly things are, that's rather interesting when you stop to think about who does what, who's involved in what, who's creating what, and I guess it's a real fine line that everyone would walk, and definite T's would need to be crossed and I's needed to be dotted. But isn't that food for thought? So on that note, I'm gonna say, not too sure exactly what to call this video. An interesting tidbit. Well, I'll figure it out. Stay tuned for the next one. I have a couple of things that I've noticed, like this one here, that I want to talk about. Okay, so if you like the video or the knowledge, or it makes you stop and ponder for a moment, hit like. Thank you for subscribing. And if you don't like my videos and you want to put down something mean, please don't. Just go on by. I'm glad you checked out the video. So, okay. Keep it tight.